What's going on, guys? My name is Rumble Skrash. In today's video we're going to be talking about the JP version of the game. Now we're going to be talking about some new units that released in the past month or so. So it's the new legend Moria and the new legend Blackbeard, as well as some new legend Capone crew that has been informed that's going to be arriving in 2 days or something like this. So we're going to be talking about those units because I didn't actually upload the video when they released, because I wanted to see what their effect inside the JP meta was. Now, Moria is an int-based character, but Blackbeard and Capone. Well, Blackbeard is a powerhouse and driven based character, and Capone is a driven and shooter based character. So I'm gonna be talking about a little bit the effects inside the meta that these characters can have. All three of them have really cool abilities. We're gonna be talking about that, but I just wanted to do this video so that you guys are able to see a little bit more of the JP insets and stuff like that. And there's gonna be a little bit of an int comeback. Now here, to show you guys the image here, it's in Japanese, so I will show you the translated abilities and everything. But here, that's the new legend Moria. Looks really cool. And here we have the new legend Blackbeard. Now inside the normal game, I think Moria is the best of out of these two, and well, and Capone crew I think is the best in the normal game. But in terms of Pyro Rumble, we're gonna be seeing what are the best units and what play can they see inside Pyro Rumble, and if they have a team or not. Because sometimes a unit can be really good, but if it doesn't have a team to work with, then you cannot really use it a lot. Without further ado, let's talk about the abilities of these new three characters. So here we are in the Pyro Rumble database, and here we're gonna start to talk about the new legend Moria that released. So as I said, he is an int-based legend, and he will apply HP up level 5 to int, defense up level 3 to int, and for the first 30 seconds, level 3 special CT up buff to himself. So overall, the passive is actually quite good. Like, it's actually really good, to be honest. Like, defense up level 3 to int, really nice. Permanent defense up, it's always nice. And the HP is really cool too. And obviously, it's really good if he can activate a little bit faster, because one thing that int struggles a little bit with is the timings of their CT and how fast can they activate the special, because they don't have a lot of CT up, to be honest. Like, there's the versus Big Mom, but she doesn't really fit well inside an in team. In the main team, in the bench, yes, but and then you are not making a use at the start of the battle of that special CT up buff. Now the CT is actually 26, so it's quite low, and that's really good, because it means that he's gonna be activating quite early. And if you're lucky, to be honest, he's probably gonna be activating one of the first units inside an in team, or inside like the meta in team that we all know, like units like Katakuri, Dofi, stuff like that. So the special though is what it's absolutely broken about this unit. So it makes actually no sense in my opinion, like this special, but well, I mean, it's really cool. And the thing is that as the in team that and the units that we know of the in team are not really the meta in JP right now, his appearance is, it's like it's putting the in team again a little bit in the scope. So it's one of the top teams, but not really the top team, because only one unit cannot um, make int come back or something like that. But he is still really good, and he makes the int team really good, and you can actually beat like the meta quick teams and maybe some side teams in some occasions. So I think I have seen actually some gameplay of this guy, and it's quite cool, to be honest. So the special though deals 1700 fixed damage to all enemies in a large radial range. Now this range is actually really great. It's a radial range and it's large, so it's basically almost every unit in general. And this is the broken part. He will apply in a 100% chance. He will halve the stats of 3 enemies for 20 seconds. Now, this is absolutely broken in my opinion. So halving the stats is a lot. Now, for what I have seen, by some gameplay of JP players that have Moria and stuff. Moria actually have the stat, but it doesn't count the HP, so it's not a 50% health cut. At least it's not as much. But the thing is, like, the main thing in my opinion, apart from having the speed and attack, which can be really annoying, to be honest, it's having the defense is absolutely massive. So for example, in a team that doesn't have a lot of defense, it's gonna be not that much. For example, if you have a slasher team, let's say, because global right now is everything is slashers, and they don't have any defense buff, for example, the Odin has a base defense of 120, so having that defense is gonna mean that he will have a defense of 60. So you have reduced by 60 the defense. So in general, that means that it's around defense down level 2 or 3, so it's not a lot. In the case of Dofi, for example, he has a base defense of 287. So having that defense means that you are giving them defense down in total of 140 something. So 140 something is actually defense down level 6 at least. So you see where I'm going. So the more defense that the unit has when Moria activates, the more levels of defense down he will apply. But it's not actually levels of defense down. The icon is just that it shows a little bit like bluish, the defense icon. It means that it's half, but it's not actually, it doesn't actually calculate the levels of defense down or anything. So, but the thing is that, for example, against very tanky teams that have like defense up level, let's say 15 or something like that, something that it's actually quite common. For example, in the Rainbow team, in the In team, it's actually quite common to see these numbers. Like, you apply this special and these 3 units will have the defense. So it can equate to like something ridiculous, like in general, like defense down level 10 or something like this, which is a really cool. And the thing is that as he has a special city up buff to himself, and he has only a CT of 26, he will probably be activating before units like NL, Dofi, if you're using Blackbeard and stuff like that. So having that defense is gonna mean that your other units are gonna be dealing much more damage. So he's really cool. He only targets 3 enemies, but also the thing is that there's no unit that is immune to that. So he will just have the stats of 3 enemies guaranteed. These 3 units are gonna be completely nerfed, and in terms of attack, for example, having the attacks is also really massive. Like, just think about it. Like, Odin has a base attack without counting any attack buffs. He has a base attack of at least 3000. So having the attack means that you're bringing his attack down to 1500, and that equates to a lot of attack down. It's like attack down level 20 just at base attack. Like, and the slashers have an absolute crazy amount of attack buffs, like attack up level 20 or something like this. So you have to add another 10 attack down debuff. So in general, just like for example to the slashers, Moria, and to Odin in particular, Moria just gives him attack down level 30. So you see how ridiculous it is. But well, I mean, really cool unit. The only thing, as I said, is that right now it's not one of the top teams. But with this Moria, he's actually getting there, and it's quite scary, to be honest, because if there's a little bit more of units that release, and it's already really good, don't get me wrong, this team is gonna be absolutely crazy, to be honest. In terms of the stats, the defense 202, it's actually quite nice. It's not bad at all, and the speed is quite low, but I mean, it's not the main thing. And also the in team have a lot of speed up, like with Enel, with Jozu, with Katakuri and stuff like that. So you don't really need that extra speed. And the thing is, for example, I think I wouldn't use, for example, Legend Blackbeard in general in an in team, because this guy can give you more. He can give you the HP, he can give you the defense up, because Blackbeard is not a unit that gives you defense up, and this guy can work very well. But I mean, maybe you want to use the Blackbeard so that the Blackbeard deals damage after the halving of the stats and everything. But yeah, really cool. Now let's talk about the next Blackbeard. So the second Blackbeard. That's also why I think the first Blackbeard is gonna be a little bit outdated because of this guy. Although this guy is a dual unit, so he doesn't count as an int character. That is immediately a drawback to this character because it means that yeah, he can work well in an int team because he buffs Driven and Powerhouse, and the int team characters are Driven and Powerhouse in general. Um, but the problem is that he himself is not an int unit, so it's quite unfortunate that that's happened. But yeah, I mean it's normal because if not, it would be broken because you're gonna be seeing what he does. But yeah, so he will apply attack up buff to Driven and Powerhouse level 5, HP up level 5, quite good. Not gonna lie, it's not bad at all. And then level 3 speed down debuff to all enemies, which is nice. It's not really that game changing, but I mean level 3 speed down, it's cool. You know, if it were speed special city down, it would be really nice. But it's speed, so it's nice. It's the passive is actually normal. Now the city is 28, so it's kind of low. It's getting to the 30, but I mean it's still lower than Roger units like that. So he will deal 2 times attack in damage, so a multiplier damage to enemies in a large radial range, so the same range that before with Moria. So that range is actually really good, and he will almost guaranteed to target all enemies. It's the same range as Legend B2 Kaido, and he deals massive damage to all enemies almost. So yeah, and he will also apply level 5 speed down debuff to all enemies guaranteed for 20 seconds. That's actually quite nice because if you add that up with the level 3 speed down in the passive, it's actually quite a lot of speed down. So you can do some impact in the enemy team's speed. So here, and also he will apply 100% chance to action bind 2 units. With here, it's not completely understood here how it's written here, but what it actually does is that he's guaranteed to action bind 2 units that have the special CT, so that basically are maxed or almost maxed. He will action bind them. So that will mean that he is delaying the action binding. I mean, the units that we're about to activate. So that's actually massive because sometimes with action bind, you action bind a unit that you don't really care about and that didn't have the special ready. So it's not that big of a deal if he is attacking or not. But if he actually is guaranteed to action bind units that are about to activate, that can be massive because remember that action bind, it's just like the unit cannot move, cannot do anything. It's just for 5 seconds, but it can, in some situations, it can be really good and really game changing. So yeah, this unit is absolutely crazy on paper, but the problem is where are you gonna use it? Like, yeah, you're gonna use it in an int team, but he himself is not gonna be buffed by the other units, so he will only have like that level 5 attack up, level 5 HP. Yeah, he will be buffed, for example, by Dofi or something like this, but the problem is that he's not an int unit. I mean, if he were an int unit, it would be a no-brainer. He goes directly into the int team. But as he's not, I mean, you can use it, but I don't really know how it performs. So out of those 2 units, I think Legend Moria is actually the better one because he can actually bring int back, and Blackbeard, well, he's not int, so in general he cannot bring int back, but you can use it in an int team and you can do some pretty cool stuff. Now, in terms of the new legend that just released is the Fire Tank Pirates, and yeah, they were just introduced here. There's not the image here. I'm sure you have seen it somewhere, so maybe I will not show you the image, but he will give, as I said, it's a shooter and driven based character, so they will give actually HP up level 5 to those classes and defense up level 3 and attack up level 3, so that passive is actually quite nice. It's really good. The defense up is the main thing, but the HP up also is quite good. The attack up is kind of whatever, but it's right. It's nice at the very least. So he will also buff himself for an extra level 5 defense up. So that's absolutely massive because that means that the fire tank parts are gonna be really tanky. And well, he will apply level 5 blow away up to your teammates. That's kind of um, weird. Like there's not a lot of units that do that, and there's not a lot of good units that do that. So we're gonna have to see how it performs. The only thing is that with blow away or knock up, I think it's translated in global. It's basically like you're guaranteed to push the unit down the screen, I mean. So the problem with that is that you can mess up the targetings of your specials, because if you are separating the enemy units, then maybe a large medium range, sorry, a frontal medium range, for example, or a side medium range is only going to be targeting one or two units, because the other units are just spread out across the battlefield. So I don't think that's a positive thing in my opinion, but I mean, we're gonna have to see how it performs and how it works out. In my opinion, that is actually something bad about the unit, but we're gonna have to see. I mean, with blowing away a character, you're basically, I think, delaying them more, but I'm not really sure how blow away affects the order of speed and attacks that I did the calculations. So yeah, it could be really useful if it's that you are actually delaying the units more. But the thing is that maybe you're delaying the units more and you activate the specials before the enemy units, but your special just completely missed because the units are just completely spread out and you target one or two units. So I think that's like a drawback of this unit, but we're gonna have to see if it's actually a positive thing or not. But the rest of the passive is actually quite amazing. So he will deal 1500 fixed damage to all enemies in a large sideways range. So that's the same range as Odin's special, for example. So he will deal some fixed damage, which is nice, and then he will apply a further level 5 blow away up to the crew members, so all of your crew members for 20 seconds. So in general, this is like level 10 blow away up. Remember that there's a base 5% chance of that happening. So if you add that, and every level is an extra 5% chance. So if you add that up, it's level 11, so that's 55% of blowing away the character with a normal attack. So you're gonna be seeing, if you're using them, you're gonna be seeing knockups constantly and all the time. So that's why I'm not really sure if that's a positive thing actually, but I mean, it can be really good if you are delaying them massively, but we're gonna have to see. So, and he also is a healer, so this is very similar to the B1 Capone that we have, and it's basically if he is below 50%, he will heal all your crew, well, your crew members in a small radial range for 2.5 RCB. This guy is obviously much better than his first version, because he has the chance of killing some other characters in your crew. Now, in general, I see this guy as basically an improved version of the V1 Legend Capone, because he does similar stuff with the special. He also buffs his own defense. He will, I mean, he's much better, to be honest. There's this blow away that the other one didn't have, and there's the HP up. The first Capone also did that, and he will apply defense up, so really much better than the first Capone. I guess if you have this guy, there's no reason anymore to use the previous Capone, because he's really tanky. Like defense up stat 295 is absolutely massive, one of the highest based defense stats, and the speed is again quite low, but I mean, you can work with that. I mean, it's a really tanky unit, so you don't expect it to be really fast or anything. So this is the information of the new units. I mean, as I said at the beginning of the video, I didn't upload the video talking about each one of them when they released, because I wanted to see what teams people were building or something like that. One thing I gotta say is that I haven't really seen a lot of in teams with Moria, like when I was playing per Rumble, but I think is that's just because there's a constant release of legends in the JP version, so people are not really able to pull for all these new legends, except if they are not free to play, and not free to play players probably are not gonna be that low as I was in the previous championship in the rankings. So yeah, that's why probably I haven't seen them, but I have seen some footage of the Moria performing, and I think out of all those three units, probably Moria is the best one. The Capone is interesting. He could work well with some driven teams and some shooter teams. Driven is actually interesting because both Blackbeard and Capone crew actually buff driven. There's a lot of good driven units. For example, the P2 Akainu, the Ace versus Akainu, I mean the versus Akainu part, the Moria. So there's a lot of driven good units like Dope Physics Plus. I mean, Katakuri if you want to. No, I think Katakuri, yeah, Katakuri is driven. So there's a lot of good driven. The only part is that they buff their own color or something like that. So I probably you're not gonna be able to put them all together in one team. But if you are, it's gonna be quite good. I think, for example, the Blackbeard, this dual unit Blackbeard and the Capone parts are gonna be working very nice together in a driven team. But yeah, the only problem is the other units and what units do you want to use. Probably the 6 plus Dofi is gonna be really good there, but you would have to find other units, and probably there are, and people are gonna start building that, so that's really cool. So yeah, but let me know in the comment section down below what you think about these new units. So I think in terms of gem managing, I will be uploading a video in the next weeks because I really want to talk about what teams are the best ones to go for, because there's gonna be a massive release of content. So there's gonna be after this Sanji Pudding and then the B2 Mancheri and Shirahoshi and Bibi Rebecca. The next month probably we're gonna start to see the B2 Kaido, the B3 Zoro, the PvP NL, the Ace vs Akainu, Moria, Blackbeard, the Fire Tank Pirates, Magellan. So we're gonna have to, in like just 2 to 3 months, we're just gonna have a massive amount of legends, and all of them are really good in their own teams in Pi Rumble. So it's gonna be really hard to decide what units do you want to pull for and what team do you want to build, because if you're free to play, the chance is that you're probably not gonna be able to build all these teams. You're gonna have to focus probably in one, and you're gonna be building with that. So I'm gonna be uploading a video talking about what teams are the easiest to build in terms of legends that you have to pull for, what teams are the best ones, what teams I think work well against each other and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that, and let me know in the comment section down below if you were impressed by, for example, the special of that Moria, because that Moria is absolutely insane in my opinion. He's really good, and I'm sure in the future we're gonna have some other int units and stuff like that that's gonna just make ints really powerful. And with the addition of int, so in my opinion, right now the JP meta is actually really interesting, because you have a really good quick team, you have a really good dex team, a really good side team, a really good int team. So you have a monocolor meta, and it's actually really interesting. I think out of all of these, quick is still the best, also with the new PvP limited rare Shiryu. Quick team is definitely, in my opinion, one of the best ones, if not the best one probably. So yeah, the int team isn't surpassing and isn't the best one right now with Moria, but probably in the future with some other addition of other units is gonna be really good. Now, as you guys probably are wondering, as I mentioned, there's no strength teams. So strength teams, I mean, don't get me wrong, they have a lot of good units. For example, they have the versus Ace. He's an amazing unit in strength teams, and obviously have units like Odin, PvP Law, and stuff like that. But I think, in my opinion, I mean, you can still build a strength team, and it's gonna be really powerful in some scenarios. But in my opinion, they just need like that extra unit, just one more unit, and strength is gonna be really good. So hopefully in the JP anniversary there's gonna be the releasing of that unit, so a strength unit would be really good, so that way we have a 5 color meta, and it would be really cool to plan things around so that we don't have a boring meta like we have in global, that it's just one team or maybe two teams, and just like finding ways to beat that exact same team in different ways. So yeah, I'm gonna end the video here. As I said, let me know in the comment section down below what you think, what are your favorite units out of all of these three, if you have thought about all this quick meta and side meta and stuff like that, and what units are you gonna be pulling for. But as always, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!